With implanted neurochips approaching fast over the horizon, it would benefit us to remember the neurosurgery that left so many worse off than they were before. I'm speaking of the lobotomy, a rushed and underdeveloped technique used on tens of thousands of patients, yet its cruel history may have unveiled mysteries otherwise unknown. Egas Moniz, a Portuguese neuroscientist, invented the leucotomy in 1935, which would then become the lobotomy, a surgical procedure that involves cutting connections of one or both lobes of the brain, separating the prefrontal cortex from the other parts. He was inspired by the earlier work of Swiss psychiatrist Gottlieb Burckhardt, who performed some of the earliest psychosurgeries during the 1880s. Egas noticed, while doing surgery on a chimpanzee, once he severed the lobes, the chimp became docile, leading him to believe the procedure can be done to humans. And work on humans it did, alleviating symptoms of anxiety and schizophrenia, even allowing some patients to return home. However, the glaring side effects have yet to be spotlighted. In 1949, Egas was awarded the Nobel Prize in Medicine for the procedure. A year after the invention, an American neurologist by the name of Walter Freeman adopted the procedure and renamed it the lobotomy. He used a surgical tool instead of alcohol, creating the prefrontal lobotomy. Electric shocks were induced to render the patient unconscious, and then the ice pick is inserted above the eyeball and through the socket, swiping the tool side to side, severing the frontal lobes. It would only take a few minutes. Many people lost their ability to concentrate. They were disengaged, apathetic, and lost emotion altogether. Basically brain dead. Flashback. Before lobotomies, the ways to treat mental illnesses were slim. The often solution was to remove those individuals from society or administer behavioral surgeries. The first psychosurgeries happened in the Neolithic age, conducted by shamans or witch doctors. Their purposes were unknown, but many believe it was to alter their behavior. In 1848, a construction foreman by the name of Phineas Gage was impaled by a tamping iron while working on a railroad. He survived, but his mood changed drastically, from being a respectable, energetic man to irresponsible and irreverent. From this case spawned the frontal lobe syndrome, after Dr. Harlow kept a close eye on Gage and reported his findings in a medical journal. Between Gage's death and Moniz's leucotomy were some more notable doctors that added to psychosurgical research that I'm glossing over to focus more on Dr. Freeman. Freeman continued conducting surgeries alongside Dr. James Watts, even publishing a monograph in 1942. They reported on 200 patients, stating that 63% improved, 23% had no improvement, and 14% worsened. On top of that, Moniz earned the Nobel Prize soon after. This greatly boosted interest in the procedure. Freeman used alcohol injections at first before switching to his infamous ice pick method, which turned Watts and the neurosurgical establishment against him, even though most patients and families were happy with the outcome. But some passed away or developed complications. A good example of this would be Rosemary Kennedy was John F. Kennedy's younger sister. She experienced the family's magnification during their father's service as ambassador to Great Britain. While in England, she attended a Montessori school and found great comfort in it. But because of World War II, their family had to move back to America. Once they returned, Rosemary was discontented with her situation. She began to sneak out at night, making her family worry that she would do something to embarrass them or be taken advantage of. While searching for solutions, the Kennedys stumbled upon a new experimental procedure, the lobotomy. It would supposedly reduce depression and aggressiveness, but was not yet accepted by the American Medical Association. They went ahead with the procedure and were met with failure. Rosemary lost her ability to walk and talk. After her hospitalization, she was immediately institutionalized. Watts leaves Freeman, and Freeman continues to practice his invention. Freeman went on to perform over 4,000 lobotomies. The frontal lobotomy became widely used for patients who lacked any alternative treatments. An estimated 60,000 procedures were performed in the US and Europe between 1936 and 1956. By 1952, another psychosurgeon started to implement stereotactic surgeries, along with MRI readings for improved precision. The drug revolution kicked into full gear around this time, helping put the infamous procedure to rest. Well, what can we learn from this history? Does science and advancement require sacrifice? Or could it be to speed up scientific discovery that otherwise would have claimed more lives? I also think fame, prestige, and wealth play a major role. If we didn't glorify legacies, we more than likely wouldn't see the same interest in medicine or health advancements. But that's also a different question of incentive and intent that philosophers have been asking for centuries. Intent is also a very important term there. Dr. Freeman's intent could have been to genuinely help the helpless live their lives in comfort, surrounded by family, instead of an isolated life within asylums. Or it could have been to gain fame and a legacy. Regardless, his actions propelled psychosurgeries and the mistreatment of the mentally ill to the forefront of everyone's minds. Without that, who knows how many people would still be suffering mental anguish. Right or wrong? Black or white? I would say gray, like most complicated issues today.